What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I sit down and take a bunch of videos that tell one overarching story and combine them together into one big video. Now, today's full story video is going to be about the Ultimates, but the all-new Ultimates. You see, after Catalysm, the last Ultimate Marvel event, Marvel gave us one more Ultimates team. It was the all-new Ultimates. You had Miles Morales. You had Jessica Drew, who was Black Widow. You had Cloak and Dagger, Kitty Pryde, and Bombshell. You had a younger team taking up the mantle of the Ultimates. Now, here's the thing. This series was short-lived because of Secret Wars, but it did give us a very interesting look at a younger team of the Ultimates. I do hope you enjoy. What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over the Ultimate Marvel Universe. And we're going to pick up with the all-new Ultimates. I call it Miles Morales and his amazing friends. But this one does pick up right after our last, well, not our last, but it does pick up after Survival, which in Survival, it was a book that basically stated that the old Ultimates team is gone. It's now time for a new Ultimates team. And this is the all new Ultimates team, a group of teenagers being led by Spider-Woman and Miles Morales. Yeah. So if you do like today's comic book video, hit that like button for me and subscribe. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. The opening of this book, we get a page to remind us who is on this team. Miles Morales Spider-Man, Jessica Drew Spider-Woman, Cloak, Dagger, and also Bombshell. This is picking up right after the ending of Survival. We then jump over to Hell's Kitchen, where we pick up with Genki, the best friend to Miles Morales, where we see him walking down the street, except then he is then confronted by some random people with powers. This scene is really going to lead into the main plot of this video. Either way, you have Genki get attacked by these guys, but luckily he is saved by Cloak and Dagger. They are able to take these guys out real quickly and move on with their day. Now, it is time to hand Genki over to Miles Morales to learn more about why he is there, but who were those guys? Cloak and Dagger do hand him over to Miles Morales, but you have Genki tell us and the heroes that he was there to get a special edition Lego set. Also finding out that this church they are in now will be the base for the all-new Ultimates. Now we then pick up with some police officers that are going to be popping in and out of the video. Terry, Vernon, and Bridget, who are chasing down a tip about some kind of lab in an apartment that belongs to Gerald Stone, which they do find, but they don't find the person who owns the place in the apartment. What they also find out is a dead body. What is really big about this lab is that Stone used to work for Roxxon. So we know if Roxxon is involved, it has to be a shady deal. This is when we pick up with the all-new Ultimates who are meeting up about the gang that attacked Genki. What we learned from Spider-Woman is that the lab used to be owned by Roxxon, where they would run experiments on the same substance that gave Cloak, Dagger, and Bombshell their powers, except when New Jersey got blown up by Galactus, that then led to S.H.I.E.L.D. no longer being around, except this gang called Serpent Skulls moved in and took over the lab and continued to use the experiments to give people powers. So this is going to lead into the all-new Ultimates trying to figure out how to stop the whole organization. We then see Spider-Woman go visit Kitty Pryde, who did agree to join the team, except thanks to what happened in Ultimate Catalysm, where Kitty Pryde had defeated Galactus, well, she became the most popular person in the world. She doesn't get any alone time. Her social media keeps getting blown up, and her phone keeps ringing off the hook. So she just wants to hide in the apartment of Spider-Woman, hoping everything will die down soon. Later on in the day, we see Bombshell going to someone's house about a guy who stood her up, except she does hear some kind of noise. So she goes to check it out, and when she does, she finds some members of the Serpent Skull that are fighting against some intruders to their base. So Bombshell calls the rest of the all-new Ultimates to help take care of this situation. This is the moment you have Spider-Woman change her name into Black Widow, since the name is not being used at the moment. And you have the rest of them come in as well, which then starts a big battle between the Serpent Skull and the all-new Ultimates. Now, one of the members' name is Styx, who has the ability of Acid Touch. The reason why that is so important is because you have all the detectives from earlier appear, which leads into a three-way battle now between the all-new Ultimates, NYPD, and Serpent Skulls. But the big reason why I mentioned Styx's abilities because when he tries to attack Spider-Man, well, Spider-Man was able to dodge the attack, and Styx ends up hurting Terry, who was one of the detectives there, which of course the acid touch begins to hurt him badly. Styx is shot and killed, but after his death, that is when you have the rest of the Serpent Skulls appear and surround the NYPD and the all-new Ultimates. This leads into a big brawl, but also we get introduced to some of the other members of the Serpent Skull, starting off with Diamondback. We don't get the chance to learn what kind of power she has, just that she has the ability to kick butt. Now, there are some other members, but they are not really important at the moment. Right now, she is the main concern for this video and the next one. Either way, you do have a battle between the all-new Ultimates, NYPD, and the Serpent Skull. Honestly, we get to see that since this team of Ultimates are new and they really haven't worked together so much, besides like a couple times, they are really struggling to take care of the problem, and it doesn't help when you have the police involved in the scene. Bullets flying everywhere, other kinds of powers too. It is just wild to see, but it does get handled when you have the SWAT team appear, and our heroes knew it was time to go before they had to deal with more problems, so they used Cloak to get away. Now, after they are able to escape, Lana, aka Bombshell, wants to quit the team because they got their butt kicked. Honestly, for her, it is more the fact that she thinks that because they have powers, they should have been able to handle those guys with no problems. Except the problem is that she's not counting the fact that they are a new team, and sometimes it takes a team a little bit of time to get used to working together. We also have to throw in the fact that most of the team besides Spider-Man and Spider-Woman are really seasoned heroes. They have been doing it a while longer than the rest of the team. But she does not care and she quits the team. This is the moment we get the real enemy to come in the next video or two, which is the Scourge. We pick up with the Scourge, who kills Stone, who was part of the Serpent Skull gang. We won't see him much in this video, or really not again in this video, but he is going to be around for a while. The next section gives us the leader of the gang, which is Crossbones. This is our first appearance of Crossbones in this universe, where we see him just shaving, but this is where we learn that the Serpent Skulls know about someone going around shooting their people in the head. Of course, we know that it is the Scourge, but they think that maybe it is another gang out there. We also learned that Black Racer here actually was able to poison Spider-Woman, who again is going by the name Black Widow. So now it's them getting ready to move forward against the heroes, the NYPD, and of course, the Scourge. The last couple pages, we get a ton of different things happening at once. The most important thing we want to focus on is the poison Spider-Woman that got injected into her. Well, of course, it is beginning to take effect to the point she passes out in her apartment in front of Kitty Pryde. Also that the Scourge is going around killing more people who are from the Serpent Skull group. So we know that things are starting to get crazier between the gangs. With the third issue, in the opening, it is more of us seeing that Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, is okay and able to recover from the poison thanks to Kitty Pryde being able to call in Dr. Pierce, who is able to cure the poison. But also we see in the opening pages that the Scourge is upset that with him going around killing some of the people who are part of the Serpent Skull gang, he thought his name was going to be put on the front page, except of course it is not. So with that happening, of course, he is upset that they say it was just a gang killing. After that, we pick up with Lana, who of course is Bombshell, where we learn that she has a boyfriend named Poe, except Poe has been standing her up lately, but also that he has gone into hiding. She learns this from a group of friends who of course know where Lana could find Poe. We learn that Poe is hiding at his uncle's house, so she goes over there, except what she doesn't know is that Spider-Man Miles Morales is following behind her secretly, which of course we do see Lana being able to find Poe at his uncle's house. But this is the moment we see them work out their relationship, except this is also the moment you have Poe mention out that he has to make a run somewhere and he wants Lana to come with him, which is going to move the story forward for us. This is not just a regular relationship seen here. Picking up with Detective Bridget, she was one of the detectives there at the scene earlier with the big battle between the NYPD, the all-new Ultimates, and the Serpent Skulls, where we pick up with her meeting up with Bar Rosum, who is her informant, who of course gives up information over to Detective Bridget, which he tells the location of where Cloak and Dagger live at, and of course it is the same place that the all-new Ultimates hang out at. Before she can get any more information, her partner calls up and tells her that the body of Styx is now missing. We then pick up with Lana and her boyfriend Poe, who are going to get a new patch of products. But this is the moment we also learn who is supplying the Serpent Squad their Roxxon products they have been playing around with, which of course it is this guy named Mr. Jip, who is giving them their product. Now remember that Lana and Poe were being followed by Miles Morales, who is getting ready to make a move to stop them from making the exchange. There is a one-pager where we see Spider-Woman and Kitty Pryde swinging around town, except she does see the Scourge once again, who killed another member of the Serpent Skull, spray painting his name on the wall so that this time the world will know who he is. Except the poison in Spider-Woman stops her in her tracks and lets the Scourge get away. Getting back to Spider-Man, you have him jump down trying to stop the exchange, except of course he lands right in front of some guards who all work for the Serpent Skulls, and you have Lana use her powers to basically cause diversion to give Spider-Man the chance to move. This is the moment we switch back over to Spider-Woman and Kitty Pryde, and remember that thanks to the poison, it slows Spider-Woman down to give the Scourge the chance to get away. Except you have the rest of the all-new Ultimates except Spider-Man and Bombshell. So that leaves Kitty Pryde, Cloak and Dagger as the ones to try to stop the Scourge, which gives us a classic chase scene, but he does end up getting away from the all-new Ultimates. This is the moment you have Cloak mention that Spider-Man is missing. Getting back to Spider-Man, where we see him fighting against the Serpent Skull, And honestly, the fight is not the big deal, it's more of us beginning to learn that Lana never really quit the all-new Ultimates. You will see what I mean here in a minute, but we see Spider-Man and Bombshell being able to capture everyone. After that, you have Spider-Man web everyone up, and then you have Lana leave with her boyfriend who she just used to get to this place. The last page of the book is where we learn that Lana was a double agent, where she used her soon-to-be ex-boyfriend to find the source of the Roxxon drug to be able to burn it all up, where you have the rest of the team tell what Spider-Man and Bombshell had missed out on, which of course it is the Scourge. So the next time we pick up with the all-new Ultimates, it is going to focus on them possibly chasing down for the Scourge. And this
What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over the Ultimate Marvel Universe. And we pick up with All New Ultimates Volume 1, but the second half to Volume 1 for All New Ultimates. Now, this storyline right here is very important. Yes, there are some strange moments and some lazy moments, but this is also the storyline where another young hero has to learn about dealing with the death of a loved one at a very early age of their hero life. And honestly, it makes the story a whole lot better. So if you like today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. Now we pick up with Terry Sarek. Remember, he was the cop that was killed in our last All New Ultimates video. Well, he was killed by sticks, but apparently he is no longer dead, and we see him wandering out in the streets, confused on how he is alive again. But before we can explore any more of that, he is hit by a truck and sent flying into the sewers. We have to switch over to the girls of the all-new Ultimates, which is Kitty Pryde, Dagger, Spider-Woman, who is now going by the name Black Widow, and finally Bombshell. They are having a fun time at the beach, and let me tell you something about this point of the story. All New Ultimates number 4 is really more of the girls hanging out at the beach while small things happen here and there to move the plot forward. We will cover those plot points, but this is a girls' days out at the beach, and we will see them build a closer bond with one another. When we get to that point, this beach stuff actually becomes somewhat important. Then the book makes you wonder what the boys of the team could be up to while the girls are at the beach. Well, we pick up with Cloak. We see him hanging out at the church that the all-new Ultimates are currently using as their base as well. While Cloak is there, you have some teenagers basically trespassing, and you have Cloak use his powers to throw the teenagers out of the church. For some reason, it makes this random guy who owns a shop across the street get upset that Cloak did that and wants to fight against Cloak. While Cloak is doing that, we see Miles Morales swinging around town with his best friend Genki, and we see that Miles Morales is worried about the fact that he was kissed by Diamondback. Diamondback, who is one of the top members of the Serpent Skulls. Now, he is not worried about being kissed because she is a bad guy. No, he is worried because to him, it was him cheating on his girlfriend, Kate Bishop, who we have been seeing in our Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man videos we have been doing for a while. So these last few moments explain what the two boys of the team are currently doing while the girls are at the beach. Getting back to the girls at the beach, we see the girls are starting to talk about their relationships, the good and the bad that comes out of them. Except then it is Spider-Woman's turn, who is Jessica Drew. She explains that she doesn't know how to have one and what she likes because she is the clone of Peter Parker. This is huge because not a lot of people knew that except maybe some people from the last Ultimates team, and of course, both of the Spider-Men. So she explains that when it comes to her, she thinks she likes girls because she is the clone of Peter Parker, that everything he likes is kind of embedded in her. This moment is cut short when you have Bombshell have to go to visit her boyfriend Poe. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. We met Poe in our last video, and I thought they were going to break up, but apparently they are still dating. Well, they are, but not that much longer. The reason why I say that is because someone ends up killing Poe in his own apartment. We are going to find out who killed him, but of course, you know this is going to be hard for Bombshell. While Poe was being killed, all of the gangs minus Serpent Skulls, begins to have some big gang war across the city. Of course, this gang war was started by the Serpent Skulls. So this is the book letting us know that things are starting to get bad in the city for the all-new Ultimate. Getting back to the death of Poe, he is found by Bombshell, and like I said, this was going to be hard for her, except before she is able to mourn the death of her boyfriend Poe, that is when we learn that the Serpent Skulls were the ones who basically killed Poe. Also, this is the moment we learn about the powers of Diamondback, that she is able to use some kind of dust that lets her control people that are hit with the dust. With that happening, the dust lets her control Bombshell, and the reason why is that she is going to use Bombshell to find the base of the all-new Ultimates. This is Serpent Skull getting rid of the all-new Ultimates since the Ultimates blew up one of their drug warehouses. Getting back to the gang war that is happening all over the city, we see that the Ultimates have arrived to help take care of the problem. Now, Cloak and Dagger are not there. They are at the church to have some alone time, and of course, we all know where Bombshell is at the moment. This is going to be the part of the book where the Ultimates realize that the Serpent Skulls must be the reason for all of the other gangs in the city to go out in the city crazy. Now, with Cloak and Dagger, they are back at their base, which is the old church they have been staying in. Now, the reason why they are here is to show that they want some alone time. So while you have the rest of the team out there in the city trying to stop some huge gang war, these two are having some alone time, and we see that when the two of them come together to kiss, their powers for some reason start some kind of strange reaction and begin some kind of light show in the church. To get a quick update with Bombshell, we see that Diamondback is using her powers to make Bombshell take money out of her bank account to give over to Diamondback. After that, we see Diamondback tell Bombshell to take them to the base of the all-new Ultimates. Getting back to the heroes who are trying to stop the gang war, we see the gang war is all done now, but then the heroes are confronted by Detective Bridget O'Reilly. Now, she was the partner of the detective that died in our last video, whose name was Terry, and we know that he is alive again. She doesn't know that, but she thanks the heroes for helping to stop the gang war, except she doesn't like the heroes because she blames the heroes for the death of her partner. She is hoping that the Serpent Skulls and the heroes kill each other. The heroes leave because someone is calling them back to their base. After the heroes leave, Bridget gets word on where the heroes have been hiding at, which is the church. Once the heroes are back at their base, they are wondering which of them made the call. Of course, everyone knows it wasn't them, but then they realize that Bombshell is not there. Before they all agree to investigate where Bombshell is at, that is when they are attacked by Serpent Skull gang members. This is the moment we see the leader of the Skrulls, which again, it is Crossbones. The the ultimate Marvel version of Crossbones, and his plan is to get rid of the heroes as a way to get payback for what they did to that drug warehouse. To make things even worse, that is when we see that Detective Bridget calls the rest of her team to join her because remember, she knows where the heroes are staying at, except her team was out on their own and close to catching the Scourge, the guy who was going around killing people like he is the Punisher, except also hoping the world finds out about him to get his popularity up. Getting back to the fight, we see that the fight is getting very intense. It is the heroes versus the Serpent Skulls, except the heroes are down one member since Bombshell is still under control by Diamondback. So Diamondback makes Bombshell use her powers to blow up everything in the church, mainly the heroes, but hoping to bury the heroes in the church. Now, with the death of Poe, Bombshell's boyfriend, Diamondback keeps talking about it, and it was enough to give Bombshell the chance to break out of the control of Diamondback and then decides that she is going to kill every single member of the Skulls for what they did to Poe. Now, this is someone who is full of rage, which makes sense since they were the ones who killed Poe. Except for Bombshell, you have to remember she went through so much over the years. You have to remember that her mother and her were super villains, but only because her mom kind of forced her to be a bad guy. Then her mom went to jail and she was given a second chance of life, joins the Ultimates thinking that everything is going to be great for her now, only to be a hero that has to go through the process of someone she loves dying. So yes, she is going crazy and blowing up everything in the church, but it makes sense. Now, the next 2 pages show us that the police have arrived at the scene, and which adds more people to the mix that is going to cause some more problems in this big battle. To make things even worse, well, you also have the Scourge appear as well with a turret gun ready to go inside, gun blazing, showing us that it's about to be one big party. So with that being said, we see that the next few pages show us the war, show us the big battle, as everyone is fighting for a different reason. But of course, it is just pure chaos in the building. Not one side is really winning. Well, maybe for the Scourge, for himself, he is winning since he is going around killing people just like he wanted to do in the first place. Bombshell is still going crazy. The police really think they can go there and stop everything so they can arrest people, which is honestly pretty funny to watch them try. But there is a moment where you have Crossbones about to kill off Miles Morales with the knife. But of course, that doesn't happen, only because Miles Morales is saved by the Scourge, who is again there to kill members of the Serpent Skulls. After Scourge stabs Crossbones, Crossbones walks away, and Spider-Man is able to tie up Scourge in webs to hand him over. The book ends with everyone kind of going their separate ways. Some of the people, of course, arrested by the police, while the Ultimates leave to lick their wounds. They also realize that they have now lost their new base that they barely got only a few books ago, leaving us wondering what is going to happen now with the all-new Ultimates in Volume 2, which of course we are going to cover in the next video.
What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over the Ultimate Marvel Universe, and we pick up with All New Ultimates Volume 2. This will be the last All New Ultimates video, because after this, there was no more All New Ultimates. They basically had Secret Wars drop after this. But anyways, in this book, you see the All New Ultimates do a last few things before they basically
disassemble the team. So if you do like today's comic book video, please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's video. So with the opening of this book, we pick up with the all-new Ultimates in the sewers looking for Crossbones. You have to remember that Crossbones was one of the many Serpent Skulls that got away from the big battle that took place at the end of our last video. Except when they get into the sewers, well, they are not greeted by Crossbones. No, they are confronted by Vermin. This is our first appearance of Vermin in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, this Vermin is actually bigger than the main Marvel Universe version of Vermin, and is more of a capable fighter than the main Marvel Universe. Now, this is not me saying the main Marvel Universe version sucks or anything. It is more of me saying that this Vermin is a tad bit stronger because he is able to take on most of the all-new Ultimates team. But after Vermin gets badly injured, well, he runs deeper into the sewers. Before we can see more of Vermin, we have to jump over to the police department because we get reminded that Scourge was arrested after the big battle in our last video, where we established that maybe he is a racist, since the gangs he is talking about are mostly people of color, and he blames all people of color for the crime rising in the city. He's telling this to Detective Bridget, who we met in the beginning of our all-new Ultimates videos. She leads a squad of detectives who are at the end of this going to form some new team. Getting back to the heroes, we see them go deeper into the sewers. This gives us a big moment, but another throwaway character for this book. First thing is that they find Terry Scourge, who was this detective who died in our first all-new Ultimates video. But we saw in our last video, he came back to life somehow. Before the heroes can ask how in the world he is alive again, well, they're confronted by Agent Croc. Let me say, I'm not going to sit down and cover things about Agent Croc. The reason why, because after this moment, he becomes pointless in this book. If you think I'm lying to you, well, I'm not. There is a fight scene between the heroes going up against Vermin and Agent Croc. This fight goes on for a few pages, where at first it does seem that maybe Agent Croc can do something here and maybe defeat the heroes. Also tells us that he protects the sewers because there are kind of like Murloc people from the X-Men comics. There are people down there hiding there because of their appearance from their powers. But in the middle of the fight, we see that Agent Croc's hand gets cut off thanks to Vermin. This is where we learn that Terry, the detective, well, he has the power to grab a body part of someone else and learn about the history of someone. So when he grabs the body part of Agent Croc, we do get the history of the character, but again, it is not important at all. Then the hand of Agent Croc becomes part of Terry. The detective has a new hand now. So the question for the heroes is, what do you do when you have a walking corpse in the sewers, especially if it is someone you know who the walking corpse is? So of course, you take the corpse to someone that is close to that person. So the heroes thought it would be a good idea to take him to Detective Bridget, since this was her partner and she was the one who saw him die. Also, she hates the all-new Ultimates for the original death of Terry. Sadly, we don't get to see how that reunion plays out because we have to introduce another team of villains that is going to join this book, to only be used to fill up a few pages to move on to the next issue, the Fiend Fatalities. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that name correctly. On this team is Knockout, Whiplash, Mind Blast, and Bloodlust. Horrible names, but they are going to go up against the Ultimates.
Now, the question that does get answered is where the Ultimates are staying now since their last base, which was the church, was blown up. Well, they are staying at the home of Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, where of course, when you have everyone living there, it feels a tad bit cramped, so emotions begin to rise up. But then you have Miles Morales and Spider-Woman tell us that J. Jonah Jameson talked about wanting to help the Spider people out since they helped save the world, also as a way to pay back his own kind of debt towards Peter Parker Spider-Man, who is dead at this point in this universe. So the other members think that JJ could give them a place to stay at. While most of the all-new Ultimates are dealing with their living issues, we get reminded that in our last video, Poe, the boyfriend of Bombshell, died. So right now, she has been staying away from the team to deal with the death of Poe. The next few pages are where the all-new Ultimates have to fight against the Fiend Fatalities. The new supervillains team were introduced in this chapter, and at first I thought they were going to be the new big threat for our heroes to fight against and give them a hard time, especially when I see them on the cover of this volume. So you would think that these are the next big bad guys, except that is not true at all. They are just here to again move the plot forward and introduce something really important actually, and also establish that the Future Foundation does exist in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. The Future Foundation appears and mentions that the all-new Ultimates are not a sanctioned team, meaning that they don't have the rights to be out there in the world being heroes. With S.H.I.E.L.D. no longer being around, they have to register themselves, except they haven't, and this is Future Foundation telling them to be careful. To close on the second chapter of this book, we pick up with Cloak and Dagger going through some relationship problems. Dagger kinds of mentions that when she is around Cloak, she makes it seem that she feels suffocated by him, not physically but mentally, and they break up. Now, they don't lead the Ultimates team. Well, Cloak goes away like he is actually done with the team, but I can tell you now that he is most definitely not done with the team. We also see that someone is watching the all-new Ultimates as they are running around town. The third chapter picks up with the idea that the trial of the Scourge is going to be happening soon. Also that he is going to be transported to an actual prison to be held there for the time being, except we are introduced to another group of people. This time they are called the Watchdogs, and they are planning to break out the Scourge from police custody. Again, this group is just used to move the plot forward, and that is really it for them. Then we pick up with the all-new Ultimates again, except remember how Cloak had left the team, or seemed like he left the team. Well, no, he only left for a few days and decided to come back, because we pick up with the all-new Ultimates getting ready to protect the police while they transport the Scourge to his new prison cell. At the same time, we still are establishing that Cloak and Dagger are no longer a couple, and that Dagger is upset that Cloak went missing for a long period of time. Now, Lana, aka Bombshell, is still off the team because she is dealing with the fact that her boyfriend was killed by some gang who really wanted revenge against her and the rest of the all-new Ultimates. Well, to get some advice on how to deal with the pain or find someone to talk about the whole situation, we see her go to the Vault, which is a well-known prison for supervillains, and talks to her mother. Remember that her mother and her used to be a supervillain duo, except when they both got caught, the police gave Lana a chance for parole, and her mother, Lori, did not get the chance. She kind of gives her daughter some advice and talks about hanging out with friends to help her move forward in life. Then it is finally time to see the police transfer Scourge to his new prison, and we see that there are people from the public upset for what Scourge did and what he said. While he did say some messed up things, to be honest, either way, we come to find out that one of the cops is actually dirty. This cop is actually working for the Watchdogs, which we saw earlier. They are the group of men who are trying to break out Scourge because they like how he works. So we see them blow up one of the buses and begin the process of breaking Scourge out. This leads into the all-new Ultimates coming in to save the day once more, except once again, it is the Ultimates getting their butt kicked by these guys. Like literally, the Ultimates are having a tough time just beating a bunch of guys who are just using guns to fight. There is a point where some of the all-new Ultimates are pinned down, but the big plot twist of this book comes when one of the Watchdogs members hands Scourge a gun to use. He kills the guy who handed him the gun and tells him that he works alone and that their group is a bunch of racist people. So after Scourge gets away, you have Spider-Woman kind of explaining who the Watchdogs are, that they are a group of people who are white supremacists that S.H.I.E.L.D. had a hard time capturing for a long time now. The difference between them and Scourge is that they wanted to plan out attacks to kill any minority group of people just for the heck of it. Scourge is only going after minorities who have some kind of affiliation with a gang. While the fight was going on, Dagger got grazed by a bullet. That leaves Cloak taking Dagger away somewhere, hoping that she will heal, maybe on her own, or maybe he should take her to a nearby hospital. The problem is that while they are trying to fix the bad rift between them, well, someone shoots both of them in the head to knock them out, leaving us with a shadow figure, making us wonder who it is. Getting into the 4th chapter of this book, we see that Bombshell is actually thinking about getting back with the rest of the group, since she has been away for a long period of time now. Then we switch over to Miles Morales' Spider-Man. This is something important to point out because he is confronted by Diamondback. Remember, she's the lady who was second in charge of the Serpent Skulls, the big bad guys of the last book. But also, she and Miles Morales kissed. It really bothered Miles Morales a lot because to him, he thought he cheated on his girlfriend Kate Bishop, even though it was just a kiss that was forced on him in the first place. Either way, Diamondback appears again and begs to talk to Miles Morales about something, but they have to go somewhere secret because too many people are out there looking for her. The problem is that her real intention is to get revenge on Miles Morales and then go after the rest of the all-new Ultimates for what they did to the Serpent Skulls. So while she is playing all innocent and stuff, well, Diamondback has Sidewinder ready to shoot Miles Morales with a sniper. Except before Sidewinder is able to do it, Diamondback is shot in the head like Cloak and Dagger were earlier. The reason why is because it is Taskmaster. Remember that Taskmaster has the ability to copy the powers that are used on him. So if he is hit with super strength, then he can use it too. After he appears, well, he takes out Miles Morales and captures him too with Diamondback. Taskmaster moves quickly when it comes to capturing the all-new Ultimates. After he captures Miles Morales, he then goes after Kitty Pryde and Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman, where it seems that the two of them are just going to go through the process of moving Kitty Pryde back to her mother's house. Well, that is when you see Taskmaster take out Kitty Pryde and Spider-Woman like he did to the other all-new Ultimates. Now remember, Terry Sharek, he was a detective that was killed but somehow came back to life and was found by the all-new Ultimates. They gave him back over to Detective Bridget and we see them working out. She is telling Terry about how the higher-ups in the police department told her and her team of police to back off from dealing with the gang problems in the city. So instead of doing that, you have Terry talk about going rogue and making their own team to deal with problems out there. We then get introduced to a new character who is not going to be around after this story, and that is a lady named Ecstasy. And also we get reintroduced to Mr. Jip. that ecstasy is the one in charge of all the drug things the Serpent Skulls and a few other people have been pushing in the last few videos. Now, Mr. Jip is slowly changing because he had inhaled a lot of drugs all at once, and so his body is changing, and you will see the outcome of that very soon. Getting back to Taskmaster, we see that he's about to get ready to deliver all of the all-new Ultimates to whoever had hired him. Except the problem is that he was not prepared for Bombshell to come by the apartment of Jessica Drew. So when she sees what the door looks like and then walks in to see Taskmaster trying to get away with the two people he recently just captured, this leads into a big battle in the middle of the apartment, but you don't have Taskmaster stay to fight since he knows that he is not prepared to take on Bombshell just yet. The problem is that while Taskmaster is putting everyone in the back of the truck, Sidewinder has snuck in the front of the truck and of course got behind the wheel and started the van. He is only there to of course save Diamondback, not really there to save the all-new Ultimates at all. So you have Sidewinder drive off, but Taskmaster is quick to shoot a line on the back of the truck so he can be dragged by the van and hoping to get his van back from Sidewinder. Except again, he forgot about Bombshell, who was trying to save her friends. So the first few pages of the 5th chapter of this book is really more of the all-new Ultimates trying to break out of the van, while at the same time you have Bombshell still trying to fight against Taskmaster. So this is giving us a whole scene of a battle over a van all over the city. This is also the moment you have Miles Morales realize that Diamondback really did not want his help, that in reality she was trying to trick Miles and hopefully kill him for revenge. Either way, after a while, you have the battle end with the van being flipped over and the Ultimates being able to break free from their bind. After the big battle scene, well, you have some other things happen in this book. The first thing that happens is Miles Morales being able to capture Taskmaster, which was very easy. The second thing is that Bombshell is thinking about killing Diamondback since Diamondback was the one who killed Poe. Poe's death has been the reason Bombshell has been down for a while. So this is kind of her thinking that she is getting revenge for Poe, except for her, she knows that Poe wouldn't want her to do that in the first place. Then you have the book remind us about Crossbones, who was the leader of the Serpent Skulls, but he went missing after our last video, and the all-new Ultimates were looking for him. Well, we see him meet up with Ecstasy and Mr. Jip, letting us know that he was kind of working for them. Except before we are able to explore more of this, well, you have Mr. Jip actually change into this big monster. The reason why is because all the drugs he had inhaled a while ago had begun to change his body and then turn him into some kind of monster. Getting back to the heroes, we see that you have the heroes ask why Taskmaster is coming after them. At first, you would think that maybe he is here to get revenge for what the all-new Ultimates did to him last time, except he is here to capture them because Roxxon had put a bounty on them. The book reminds us that every character minus Kitty Pryde powers are based around Roxxon doing something to them on purpose or on accident. So it is Roxxon thinking that since it was them who created most of the all-new Ultimates, they have the rights to capture all-new Ultimates. Except the heroes really can't think much about it, since that is when Mr. Jip, who has turned into a monster, actually attacks the city. So of course, this leads into this big battle between everyone who has been part of the last couple issues that are important. So the all-new Ultimates, Crossbones, Diamondback, and Mr. Jip, who is now a huge monster, wrecking the whole city. Now, something I want you guys to remember is that Detective Terry and Detective Bridget decided that they want to go rogue since the police department is not doing anything to deal with the issues in the city. So they decided to form their own group with the rest of their team and call themselves Terror Inc. Then we finally get into the first issue of the all-new Ultimates, the one that ends everything for this team, and honestly, kind of happy it did.
So the first few pages of this storyline is more of the all-new Ultimates actually trying to save innocent people from the attack of the monster, and we also see that there are other group of people like Terror Inc., Crossbones, and the last few members of the Serpent Skulls trying to do their own thing too. Either way, this battle goes on for a while until you have someone finally come up with a game plan to actually stop this monster. You have Terry decide to go inside the monster to hopefully find Mr. Jip inside there to talk to him, stating that the monster we are seeing is a huge monster avatar. But on the inside, there is the actual Mr. Jip who can control the monster who he is inside of at the moment. Remember that we talked earlier about how Terry has the powers to know someone or talk to someone once he touches one of their body parts, except this time it was him leading into the death of Mr. Jip. So that is how we end this problem here, and most of the bad people go away to prison. The reason why I say most of the bad guys get thrown into prison is because you have Jessica Drew meet up with Monica Chang. This causes some issues in the Ultimate Marvel Universe timeline because in Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man, she was killed by a Green Goblin. Except here she is not dead, but tells Jessica Drew that Crossbone is actually a good guy who was undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D., hoping to bring down the Serpent Skulls. Also Ecstasy because she may have some ties into Hydra. Also, they can't do anything about Roxxon either. The book closes on two things happening, which is more of that Detective Bridget and the rest of her squad are going to continue to be a team and call themselves Terror Inc. moving forward. Don't worry, we won't see them again, to be honest about that. To finally close on this video and this team, you have the all-new Ultimates break up for some strange reason. Doesn't make sense why they broke up for, but the book ends with them swinging away to go help out some of the last few members of the X-Men. And this is where we are going to end today's video. So please hit that like button down below and also subscribe to the channel for more content to come in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoyed today's video.